What if I told you that a 19-year-old college dropout convinced billionaires, 4-star generals, and 2 former secretaries of state to invest in a medical device that never worked?
Not once, not even close. This is the story of Elizabeth Holmes, Theranos, and the most brazen corporate fraud of the 21st century. A $9 billion lie built on charm, protected by power, and paid for by patients whose blood tests came back dangerously wrong. It's the spring of 2003. Stanford University, Palo Alto, California. Elizabeth Ann Holmes is 19 years old, sophomore, chemical engineering major. Quiet, intense, obsessed. She walks into the office of her professor, Channing Robertson, a respected dean of the School of Engineering, and she pitches him an idea. A patch. A wearable patch that could diagnose diseases and release medication simultaneously. Robertson is intrigued, more than intrigued. He becomes her mentor, her champion. He would later join her board and defend her for over a decade. That summer, Holmes drops out of Stanford. She takes her tuition money, reportedly around $6,000 from her parents, and incorporates a company. She calls it Real-Time Cures. She later renames it Theranos, a blend of therapy and diagnosis. The pitch evolved. Forget the patch. Holmes now claims she can run hundreds of standard blood tests, from cholesterol to cancer markers, using just a single drop of blood from a finger prick. No needles, no vials, no waiting days for results. One tiny drop, a few minutes, hundreds of answers. If this worked, it would be the most important medical breakthrough of a generation. It would democratize healthcare, destroy the $75 billion blood testing industry overnight. That was the promise. And people believed it. Not just anyone. The most powerful people in America. Here is where the story gets disturbing. Holmes didn't just raise money. She assembled a board of directors that looked like a National Security Council meeting. Henry Kissinger, former Secretary of State. George Shultz, former Secretary of State. James Mattis, retired 4-star Marine General, future Secretary of Defense. Sam Nunn, former U.S. Senator. William Perry, former Secretary of Defense. Not a single one of them was a doctor, a scientist, a blood specialist, a diagnostics expert, not one. But their names on the letterhead? That was the product. Credibility, manufactured trust, and the money followed. Rupert Murdoch invested $125 million, his single largest private investment ever. The Walton family, heirs to the Walmart fortune, invested $150 million. Betsy DeVos and her family, $100 million. Larry Ellison, co-founder of Oracle, an early investor. By 2014, Theranos had raised over $700 million in venture capital and private investment. Its valuation hit $9 billion. Elizabeth Holmes, at age 30, was declared the youngest self-made female billionaire in America. She was on the cover of Fortune, Forbes, Time Magazine, Incorporated. She spoke at TED, at the Clinton Global Initiative, at the Horatio Alger Association dinner. And she did it all in a black turtleneck. Deliberate, calculated. She modeled herself on Steve Jobs, right down to the wardrobe. She even lowered her voice, artificially. A deep, manufactured baritone that former colleagues said was completely fake.
It turned out he had a nub on his elbow, and we talked to our lab team.
Over the last 11 years, we've reinvented the traditional laboratory infrastructure.
Well, it's wonderful to be.
This wasn't just a startup. This was a performance. And in 2013, it became dangerously real. Walgreens signed a deal to put Theranos blood testing centers inside their stores. They reportedly committed over $140 million to the partnership before ever conducting proper due diligence on whether the technology actually worked. Safeway followed. They spent roughly $350 million renovating stores to accommodate Theranos wellness clinics, two of America's biggest pharmacy chains, betting everything on a machine they had never independently validated. And why hadn't they validated it? Because Holmes wouldn't let them. At the heart of Theranos was a device called the Edison, small, sleek, supposedly revolutionary. Holmes claimed it could run up to 200 blood tests from a drop or two of blood drawn from a finger prick. But inside Theranos' Newark, California lab, the reality was very different. The Edison barely worked. Engineers and scientists inside the company knew it. The machine was wildly inaccurate, inconsistent, unreliable. So what did Theranos actually do with patient blood samples? They diluted them. They took that tiny finger prick sample, diluted it to create enough volume, and then ran it on conventional, commercially available machines. Many of them built by Siemens, third-party machines, standard industry equipment, nothing revolutionary and nothing proprietary. And the dilution? It corrupted the results. Patients were getting inaccurate readings, wrong results on tests that doctors were using to make real medical decisions, cancer screenings, blood sugar levels, thyroid function, clotting factors. Let me be very clear about what this means. Patients received test results that were wrong. Some were told they had conditions they didn't have. Others were told they were healthy when they weren't. This wasn't a startup that exaggerated its features. This was a medical fraud that endangered human lives. And the people who tried to raise alarms, they were crushed. Theranos operated under a culture of absolute secrecy and absolute fear. Sonny Balwani, Holmes' secret boyfriend and Theranos' chief operating officer, ran the labs and operations with an iron fist. Employees described a climate of surveillance, intimidation, and retaliation. Workers were siloed. Teams were forbidden from sharing information with other teams. If you asked too many questions, you were fired, often that same day, and everyone signed aggressive non-disclosure agreements. When employees left and tried to speak up, Theranos deployed the heavyweight law firm Boyes Schiller Flexner, led by famed attorney David Boyes, who also sat on the Theranos board and accepted stock as payment. One whistleblower, Tyler Schultz, the grandson of board member George Schultz, tried to raise concerns internally and then externally. Theranos hired private investigators to follow him. They threatened him with litigation that could have cost millions. His own grandfather, George Schultz, sided with Holmes and pressured Tyler to stay quiet. Tyler spent over $400,000 of his own money on legal fees. He was 24 years old. Erica Cheung, another young lab employee, also came forward. She described being terrified, followed, watched. And then there was Ian Gibbons, Theranos' chief scientist, a brilliant, accomplished British biochemist. He raised concerns internally about the technology. He was sidelined, marginalized. In May 2013, the night before he was scheduled to give a deposition in a patent lawsuit, a deposition where he might have had to tell the truth under oath, Ian Gibbons took his own life. He was 67 years old. When his wife called Theranos to inform them of his death, she later said the company's first response was to ask about any proprietary information he might have had at home. That is the culture Elizabeth Holmes built. The end began with one reporter, John Carreyrou, investigative journalist at the Wall Street Journal, tipped off by a pathologist named Adam Clapper and fueled by whistleblower accounts from Tyler Schultz, Erica Cheung, and others. Carreyrou published his first expose on October 15, 2015. Holmes fought back. Hard. She went on Jim Cramer's show. She called it a smear campaign. She said the journal story was an attack on innovation. It didn't work. The FDA launched inspections. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, known as CMS, inspected the Newark lab. They found deficiencies so severe, they classified the lab as posing immediate jeopardy to patient health and safety. In 2016, Theranos voided 2 years of Edison test results, tens of thousands of blood tests, and sent corrected reports to patients and doctors. Think about that. 2 years of wrong results on real patients. Walgreens sued for $140 million, then settled. Partner Health, an Arizona-based company it sued. Investors filed lawsuits. In March 2018, the SEC charged Holmes with massive fraud. She settled, paying a $500,000 fine and giving up voting control of the company. Then came the criminal charges. In June 2018, a federal grand jury indicted Elizabeth Holmes and Sunny Balwani on 9 counts of wire fraud and 2 counts of conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Theranos, once valued at $9 billion, dissolved in September 2018. Its remaining cash was used to pay creditors. Investors received nothing. $700 million. Gone. The trial of Elizabeth Holmes began on September 8, 2021, in San Jose, California. Her defense strategy was extraordinary. She claimed she was a victim of Sunny Balwani's emotional and sexual abuse. She said she genuinely believed the technology worked. She cried on the stand. On January 3, 2022, the jury returned its verdict, guilty on 4 federal counts of fraud, specifically defrauding investors, not guilty on charges related to defrauding patients. The jury deadlocked on 3 additional counts. On November 18, 2022, Judge Edward Davila sentenced Elizabeth Holmes to 11 years and 3 months in federal prison. Sunny Balwani was tried separately, found guilty on all 12 counts, sentenced to nearly 13 years. Holmes reported to a federal prison camp in Bryan, Texas on May 30th, 2023. She was 39 years old. So how did this happen? How did a company with no working product fool billionaires, generals, pharmacy chains, and the media for over a decade? 3 psychological weapons. Learn them, because you will see them again. Number 1, authority stacking. Holmes didn't need scientists on her board. She needed famous names, powerful names, names that made investors think, well, if Henry Kissinger is involved, it must be legitimate. This is social proof at its most weaponized. The board wasn't there for oversight. It was there for optics. Number 2, secrecy disguised as intellectual property protection. Every time someone asked to validate the technology, Theranos said no, citing trade secrets. This is a massive red flag. In legitimate diagnostics, peer review isn't optional, it's foundational. If a company won't let anyone independently verify its claims, ask yourself why. Number 3, the founder myth. Elizabeth Holmes was a story, a young, brilliant, female Steve Jobs who dropped out of Stanford to change the world. The media amplified it, investors bought into it. Nobody wanted to be the person who doubted the next Apple. Now look around, it is 2025. AI health tech is exploding. Biotech startups are raising hundreds of millions on promises of revolutionary diagnostics. Longevity companies, precision medicine platforms, gene therapy firms. Some are real, many are extraordinary, but some, I promise you, are running the same playbook. Celebrity boards, secrecy, buzzwords instead of peer-reviewed data, massive valuations before a single product has been independently validated. When someone tells you they're going to change the world and then refuses to show you the proof, that's not innovation, that's Theranos. Elizabeth Holmes is sitting in a federal prison cell right now. Sunny Balwani is in another. Investors lost $700 million. Patients received wrong diagnoses. A scientist is dead. And the scariest part? She almost got away with it. If this story made you angry, good. It should. Subscribe to this channel because we are going to keep exposing corporate frauds. The ones that made headlines and the ones that haven't been caught yet. Hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. And drop a comment below. Which corporate scam should I break down next? Wirecard, FTX, the Nikola Motors fraud, WeWork? Tell me, I'll cover it. Because sunlight is the best disinfectant, and we're just getting started.